Hello, folks. It's time for the Halloween special of K PHred Prime Live. It's the only broadcast we're doing this month because I'll be traveling and Barbara's got better things to do than just show up without me around. So we're doing our Halloween episode today. It should be a fun episode. I actually will be in Chicago at this point in time on Halloween, fighting off the, if the downside of this actually happens, protecting my grandkids. So let's bring on my crazy co-host, Barbara Wainwright. Barbara, how are we doing today?
Terrific. Thank you, Fred. How are you doing today?
Oh, I've been waiting to take us down the alien rabbit hole for a long time.
Yes, you have. Yeah.
It was actually an alien question that made me realize how much people love to answer down the rabbit hole questions.
Okay.
So, the first down the rabbit hole question I ever asked was on, officially asked was on pillars of franchising, and I'd asked an AI question to an HR executive for a franchise system. And when I asked her about AI and HR in the franchising world, and this was in 2018, there was about 8 seconds of panic dead silence on her part. Now, that was 2018, and you figure 7 years later, it's prevalent all over the place. So at that point, I had started to have fun with it, and my co-host, Ray Pillar, was finding me asking these questions. And we had an episode where we had the publisher of Franchise Times was the first guest, and I think it was the senior VP of franchise development for a sandwich franchise systems. And my age is getting to me because I can't remember what they are, but I love them. Anyways, and at this point, I had seen earlier in the week a post on LinkedIn, Franchise Times LinkedIn, about Area 51 and Taco Bell.
Okay.
So this was the first space alien down the rabbit hole question. And she did her best to answer. She did a good job. And then in the second interview, when we got this senior VP, I said, well, I'm not going to ask you the question. And he goes, no, I want it. Please give it to me. And I went, whoa, people really like answering these questions. And there's been pretty much in every show I've ever been a host on and some type of down the rabbit hole. And this is the first time on this episode or this show we've gotten to take aliens. Because I was proved eerily right back in 2019 when I asked a question about the zombie apocalypse.
Aha.
Based on and when they questioned me about how there could be a zombie apocalypse, I said, my theory is there's some bioweapon in a government lab that gets out and starts turning people into mutant zombies. Which, everyone laughed and said, ha, that will never happen. And yeah, then COVID-19 happened. So I've been eerily prescient on 2 of them.
Yep.
So now, is 3i Atlas, the very oddball interstellar comet coming through, is this really just the oddball interstellar comet? Or is it something more like an alien space probe as seen in Stephen King's movie Maximum Overdrive?
Great question. Okay, for those people who have been, not aware of the news that's happening, may I read a little bit about 3i Atlas? All right. It is the third confirmed interstellar object to enter our solar system. Discovered in July of 2025 by the Atlas Survey, this object, now they're not saying what it is, but it's an object, is a fast-moving hyperbolic visitor from outside of our solar system that poses no threat to Earth. Astronomers are studying it to understand the composition and origin of objects from other star systems.
So there's a whole lot there that doesn't get said in that it actually, there's no threat because it won't hit Earth. However, it comes very close to Earth. And on the other side of the sun, as one physicist, so all right, stop here. I don't want to go too deep into it because we have folks on with us. And if you want to, if you want to dial in, folks, you can call in at 1-724-957-4733. Why don't you start introducing our guest?
Oh, I would love to. Well, I'll just start with Tor. So, Tor, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit about you and where are you located right now?
I'm located at the southern part of Norway. And it's, well, as I talked to Fred a little earlier, it's about the snow here also, not far off. So I'm guessing the aliens would stay away from this place. Thank God for that. Usually work as my daytime job is working as a teacher at the 9th grade. It's a school, local school where I'm from, a place called Fevik. And I'm happy to be back and to discuss alien invasions and lots of funny stuff.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Tor. How about Alina? I'd love to have you share a little bit about you and where are you located right now? And Alina, you're muted. There we go. Now I'm like thinking, well, Alina, are you there? Because we can't hear you. Nope. Okay, I'm going to switch over to Jim and say, welcome, Jim. It's good to see you. You're muted too. If you would like to do an introduction and share a little bit about you and what's happening with you.
Sorry, I'm a few minutes late, everybody. It's been a very, very busy day, but
I can hear me.
Pardon me?
Now I can hear you, Alina.
Oh, go ahead, Alina.
Yeah. But now I can't. Oh, I know what's happening. It's maybe the bandwidth. Maybe, Alina, if you turn off your visual,
I just want to make sure you can hear me because I'm not on mute anymore.
No, you're not on mute, and I can hear you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, if you turn your camera, that's good. Camera off because that takes up a lot of bandwidth, and we should be able to hear you better now. Alina.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Do you want to introduce yourself and share with us where you are? Okay, now I can't hear you. So let's pause for a moment with Alina. And Jim, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself? And
Hi, everybody. Many of you know me, but nice to meet you, Tor and Alina. I have been to Norway, so a couple times. And I am in Chicago.
Chicago.
And I have been involved in the technology industry for more years than I will admit, pretty much since the very early days. And the sort of three quick segments of my career: I was an engineer designing computers for a while. I was doing turnarounds of technology companies, and now I am a professor teaching information systems, computer science, data science, artificial intelligence in the graduate school and at the University of Illinois in Chicago. And they're all very related segments of my career in the same space. And I may have met aliens along the way, but we'll talk about that. But
I love that. Oh my gosh. Yes, I love that. All right. Deanna, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Deanna Brakefield, host of Neurodivergent News here on this wonderful radio station. And I also, professionally, I help neurodivergent entrepreneurs find their voices, be that through marketing, be that through website design or podcast starting. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's see if we can get Alina. I think we might be able to hear you now. Alina, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes. Wonderful.
Well, I'm a shifter, so I'm here today. And 2 days ago, I was in another event, roundtable, which was very interesting because we talked about the 3i Atlas and AI and beliefs, of all sorts. And well, I was just thinking that I would send you the Luminosity Group report, which you have which you can see in our chat today, so you can have a look at it.
Okay.
And I'm anxious, and I'm really looking into this event today. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
As are we.
Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about your background, Alina, before we move on?
And where you are.
And where you are. That's right.
I have a joke about that, but I'm just gonna keep it for our personal meetings over the next time. So right now I'm close to Russia, and it's very cold. Usually I'm traveling during the year, but I'm settling in for a while here. What can I don't know what to tell you about me. I'm a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, trainer, coach. Anyway, so and yeah, I'm into the blockchain since 2011, mainly creating DAOs, but being active in the metaverse and creating. I don't want to say engineering cultures, but creating fair rewards for the new currency, which is energy, human energy.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we got everybody, Barbara?
Yes, we
All
did.
right, so when I look at this group, if this event happens, then Alina, being a metaverse blockchain, she's going to see it first and probably be a dead person. And Jim, who's more cyborg now than human, yeah, he's going to become a cyborg human, probably executioner. Tor and Deanna, Tor by being in Norway and it's already snowing, worse than Chicago. Yeah, no one's going up there. Not human, not alien. He will be the father of the extended human race. Oh, wow. So maybe this is really Ragnarok that's about to happen. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then Deanna being in and having she and her husband having their own tribe in Alabama, she's going to survive too. You and I, well, you're definitely toast because you're in the LA area and that Independence Day blast is just going to zap everyone there.
Yeah.
Me, I'll be with the grandkids in just about Cheeseland, and no alien invaders ever wanted to go to Cheeseland. So I might survive, but I got to fight my way across. So
there you go.
Before you keep going, speaking of grandkids, as of this past weekend, I have another one.
Yay! How many does this make in the tribe of Jim?
This is 4.
Aw, sweet.
Congratulations.
That's very sweet.
His name is Noah.
Oh, wow.
So, if this event's going to happen, what is humanity going to need to do to survive? What are the other than an alien apocalypse, what are the other potential happenings?
Alien apocalypse.
Well, to me, if we follow the maximum overdrive, we're already at that scenario human-wise with AI.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. AI is really taking a stronghold in terms of search engine capabilities and things like that. People are leaning on AI more than they're leaning on our traditional Google and Bing and those other search engines. So it's taken over a lot in that aspect. And it's also replaced a lot of jobs. People don't need editors anymore, for example.
So
I would say yes and no to that, actually.
Go for it.
Well, we've talked about this before, but rather than being artificial intelligence, it's augmented intelligence. So you do need editors to look at what AI generates. Right out of the box, it is almost never usable. It definitely needs human intervention at the end and also at the beginning. So,
all right. So,
right.
My theory on this is that in the maximum overdrive scenario, it was a cometary tail, which humanity was ultimately saved in the end by a Russian weather satellite that was carrying Mark IV nuclear weapons and laser cannon, which I want one of those. I really, really do. Really, really do. But blew up the alien probe. Now, I don't know how we can blow up an alien probe. And I know somebody's going to say, but Fred, it's on a hyperbolic orbit that's going to take it out of the solar system. And yet there was at least one other professor besides Professor Loeb who posited that while behind the sun, it could release a whole bunch of smaller craft that could then come to the Earth. An alien invasion fleet. It could be so I think about the back end. So again, anyone jump in. So this isn't just me coming up with a really wild science fiction story.
Okay, no, it's not just you. There are a lot of people that are positing that this comet actually has alien ships on it and they're riding with it.
Tor, bring whatever you got, my friend.
If they were to let's say they were to hide behind the sun and then release more, if that was your point of view, if they were potentially doing that and to release more so they can take us on another trajectory and take over, I'm thinking that is there a possibility that what would they need here if they had the potential to come and travel at great distances? What is it about Earth that would make them to try to overtake the planet in some way? Do you have an angle what they possibly can get from us that they would need?
So, I think the normal standard scenario, science fiction scenario for Earth invasion is starships pop out from hyperspace. However, there is a scenario that this could be, since there were 3 of them coming through, this could be an alien race fleeing from the galactic supernova. And slowly something that's been spawned for obviously millions of years, where literally they're seeding oxygen rich, and maybe it's not Earth, maybe they want Mars, maybe they want Venus, I don't know. If you've been traveling through space at sublight speed for that long, there's got to be all kinds of renewables you're going to need. Would be my theory. Anybody else want to jump in?
Well, I mean, in most science fiction, that's the first thing that we hear is they're coming for our resources or we're the resource.
Ooh, yeah.
But for me, that's overly humanizing potential aliens because we have no idea what their motivations might be.
I'll jump on what you just said, Deanna, and that is if you look at the universe in mostly scientific terms, which is my preference generally, then there most certainly will be aliens.
Uh-huh.
It's mathematically extremely likely, if not a certainty. And the nature of them is to be determined, of course. But the likelihood of them being, or of there being some other form of intelligent life is, I think, virtually certain. Now, having said that, physics plays against them showing up because it's traveling distances that would likely originate from where they might be, is limited by assuming they have not figured out how to travel faster than the speed of light, which I think is a given that that's difficult to do. But it's an interesting question because it's hard to posit what they would be looking for here, other than just mostly, I think, curiosity as to what else is out there. My guess is they've come prepared to take care of themselves.
So from one of the most recent things I found was that Professor Loeb posited that the wow signal 39 years ago that made astronomers go wow, but it was never repeated, was from the same quadrant of the sky that these three interstellar travelers have come through. My theory says is that ultimately humanity would do this if they needed to build an ark to get humanity when the sun goes nova 5 billion years from now. So it would be some other species that was, slowly seeding planets so that their civilization would go along in a sublight universe.
Okay, so if there was another species that was slowly seeding another planet, I'd say that there would be another species that would be highly intellectual, have the capability to travel at faster than the speed of light because, hey, they're that much more intellectual than we are. And then if they were seeding us and trying to get this species of humanoids uplifted or leveled up to get them somewhat on par with where they are, I'd say that sounds like it's a possibility to me, and that I do believe that as human beings, we have evolved quite a bit since the Dark Ages. Maybe not as evolved as we could be, but that, from the Dark Ages where people were barbarians, that'll be a word, barbarian, and had that kind of behavior till today where we're somewhat more civilized. At the same time, the weapons that we have are annihilation type weapons, which isn't good. But so far, we haven't let one of those off.
It depends on what part of the world you're in. In Southern California, no. In other parts of the world, yeah, there's a whole lot of nasty weapons being let off.
Oh, okay.
I wish Barbara could see my face right now, because as she was talking, I'm sitting here going, what makes you think we're any less barbaric today than we were 500 years ago? We just have better technology.
Well, yeah, you don't see people running around with swords cutting people's heads off, at least in this part.
Well, not too often anyway.
Yeah.
And yet every year there's random homeless people that stab people on the streets in New York City and take their shoes.
Yeah. But people aren't being, guillotines. I know that there are guillotines available, but, you don't hear about too many people getting there.
Norwegians are more civilized, though. So
they are, but yet I read an article that said that Iran is conducting industrial-sized hangings.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And see, my assumption is after all this long time, them traveling, they're going to be hungry. So I go back to the Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man.
Yes, I know that one.
Where To Serve Man, everyone assumed it was all a bunch of Californians, and they're all saying it's uplifting and see, they want to serve us and be helpful for us. And then they figured out that, no, it was a cookbook on how to cook man because these aliens were hungry.
Well, unfortunately, human beings are already doing that here, but we don't need to go into that, do we? That's another deep subject. Anyway, I think that we don't know that actually, do they eat? Do aliens eat? Do they have a need to, or do they sustain their being but another way? Maybe they are able to sustain off of light.
Okay, so now we understand why Barbara will be in the first group killed, because she's positive and uplifting and, ooh, wonderful. Whereas Fred will be armed as much as he's allowed to be near his grandkids going, come near me, alien, and I chop you up with my edged weapon.
Meanwhile, Deanna's driving to Coleman, Alabama to raid the Army Depot.
And Tor's digging into the snow deep.
I've got a question. If the aliens, but if we take a look at ourselves, and you, Barbara, were talking about the aliens having a higher intelligence that enables them to travel across, interstellar and galactic travel, and having the capacity to do that. We are not at that level yet. But do you see at any point, any one of you, at any point that we will have that capacity and maybe speeding up that process if we are to link ourselves up with AI in some form of symbiosis, and we just quantum leap much more faster forward, so we will be able to to have that higher intelligence, because I think that we will come to a place where we will plateau, and maybe we aren't able to develop ourselves into the next level, so you will have interstellar travel by human beings. Does anyone know anything if that will be possible?
I don't know, but here's something that I believe is that we have the capacity right now to communicate with what I call a higher power. And it takes, I'd say, some practice, but if you can get into, and it's an inner work, it's not something that's outside of us, it's within us, that if we take the time and go deep inside into a meditative state, that we can connect with a higher power or a different realm. And I'd say that maybe it isn't interstellar, but maybe it's just a different dimension that what we would call aliens, because we don't know them, but it's another dimension. And maybe they're humanoids. We don't know, right? But at the same time, instead of thinking of it as interstellar, if you thought of it as another dimension outside of our dimension that we're in, that maybe that would be something that we could travel to mentally, using our mental, not our brain so much, but our spiritual mental capacity to connect outside of this realm. We could connect with them already. And I don't think it would require AI. In fact, I think AI would not be part of that. I believe that it would be our own capability to do that kind of connecting with, and I'll call it all that is.
Before anybody else answers, because I wanted everyone else to give an answer, the only question I got for Barbara is, how long have you been in Southern California?
I will say it will not be AI, though. So
yeah, not AI.
Go ahead, Jim. You can answer his question. Barbara, figure out who else is answering next. I gotta get more coffee on that one.
Well, there's some very how do I describe it? Not vexing questions, but So, for example,
Yes.
Stephen Hawking's book, A Brief History of Time, and C.S. Lewis's notion of time are actually, they describe them as very different, because C.S. Lewis comes at it from a religious perspective, and Stephen Hawking does not. They're both, having passed away now, they've discovered which one was right, but they're not actually really different. And that has a lot to do with how we view any potential visits by aliens. And that is, Stephen Hawking, his description of time is very scientific, and C.S. Lewis's description of time is, okay, there's God created the universe, there's the Big Bang, and Hawking doesn't deny that either, but time is the dimension by which the universe expands. And thinking about assuming aliens come from our universe, because thinking about other universes outside ours is a little bit mind-blowing. I have not figured out how to even think about that, but
brain theory.
What's that?
BRANE theory. That's brain theory, is when you're looking at. So in other words, each universe is its own membrane, and there are multiple membranes out there, and sometimes they can interact and things like that. Sorry, joys of a misspent youth.
Yeah.
Continue.
I worry about your youth, Fred, but that's okay. Anyway, so it's thinking about where aliens might reside relative to the expansion of our universe. I mean, were there other, it would be totally logical in a sense to think of other universes at the same time. But would those universes ever interact in a way that made sense from a physical standpoint? I mean, there's some really mind-numbing questions here that...
Okay, so I think Gene Roddenberry proved that multiple universes could, in fact, interact and have intersectionality between them in episodes of Star Trek Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, and I think Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
I think proved is a strong word there, Fred.
Yeah.
Jeremy, am I wrong?
He posited that it was possible.
Fine, you guys want that word posited. Blah. Am I wrong, Jeremy? Didn't each series have at least one multiple reality interfaces?
Yes.
At least one.
Okay.
Yeah. It started, from memory, it started with the first Mirrorverse where Kirk jumped over and found Spock with the evil Asian-looking mustache being the, bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Who went there first, back in the 60s.
So, we've had this multiple... So people have... My only point in this slight diversion is science fiction TV, as far as back as the 60s, had proven the potential for, or posited the potential for, how a multi-reality or multi-universe intersectionality would happen. Tor, Alina, you want to jump in here? Cracking me up.
I understand it.
Well, you're having fun on your own there, so I was just thinking of a cabbage because it has so many layers at the same time, and what the bleep do we know? So it's not just intertext or anything else. I was asked a question just the other day. I don't know if Barbara asked me or somebody else over LinkedIn about something more spiritual, family, I don't know, something.
Yes.
So, yeah. And I was telling you, Barbara, that I've seen different dual positions. I didn't get too much into it. Some of them were approaching a more spiritual, an awakening feature of this happening, and the other ones, like Luminosity Group, was approaching a very scientific point of view that I just shared with you. I don't know, 20 minutes ago, and you can have a look at it. Now, the other night, I was looking into Tron's notes. Tron was a great guy in USA in the beginning of the 90s in IT, and he's a brilliant mind. And anything he analyzes goes on, starts from a new hypothesis, like a researcher, right? And it goes and attacks different transdisciplinary pathways. I just want to talk, and I'll try to be short I'm still dual in my beliefs. So on a side, I've noticed the research around it, the Luminosity Group, Mars scientific probes, of course, what they think, the Hubble, the GWST, and they all go to the idea that it's a simple cosmic fossil with traces of liquid water, and that has less than 1 million years ago, and it's an organic material. That this is hinting at life-friendly conditions that it might have, and they're saying there's no threat to Earth, and it's going to stay 170 million miles away, and it's just going to be swinging closest to the sun late this year before it's going to live forever. And I can look into this, but on the other side, I have looked at my friend Tron and the others, and what they're saying kind of resonates with me as well. I know that a name isn't a truth, a label isn't a reality, and a comet isn't always a rock. So beyond this icy surface that we're looking into, and with having a measurable velocity, we might receive a message, or we might see a multidimensional consciousness that's going to be intersecting the Earth's field, at least the field. And every culture knows, they knew that comets are looked at as heralds, markers of epochs, revolutions, awakenings. Now, I don't want to sound paranoid, but I'm taking into consideration different things, So perhaps GI Atlas, it might be a carrier, and I just hate if clauses. To use if clauses. I hate to use if clauses in phrases. So, but perhaps GI Atlas is a carrier of frequency, an interstellar intelligence in disguise, a harmonic key, like my friend Tron is saying, a harmonic key resonating with our awakening. I don't know. But what I know is that its presence aligns with this acceleration of things right now globally. And I feel like it's mirroring our collective evolution somehow. It can be a marker, a messenger, a mechanism. I don't know. I just know that I believe that the cosmos is not throwing stones on us. I think it's sending signals. Data.
I think what you just said is actually really, really important, because you're talking about it may be a herald or a message from another world. Would we even recognize the message that was sent our way? Because I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the Kardashev or the Sagan scales, but if a species is actually capable of intergalactic travel, by definition of those scales, they're a type 3 civilization. We're still a type 0 civilization. We haven't even hit type 1.
So I want to give you my viewpoint to this, and that is Murphy was an optimist. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time with the worst possible consequences. Murphy, that's my viewpoint on all of this. So when you put that in there, what do you got to do to survive if this is like one of those really bad heralds coming? Barbara? Yeah, you want to say something?
Yes, I don't believe that this is a bad herald. I really don't. I don't believe it. I don't feel it. I don't sense it.
You're from Southern California. You don't
and I'm
see
from
snow.
Southern California, and you know where all the woo-woos are. But I really, I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking that.
Which is why you'll be eaten early on.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that this is going to have a negative impact here. I am, and if it is some kind of a sign. And maybe it's the sign or the herald saying that it is time for us to step into maybe a different dimension. But really, what I believe the message might be is that do good things. Be good, do good, because having a good heart. I don't believe that everybody on the Earth has a good heart. I think there are a lot of dark people that are around. So the people that have a sense of doing the right thing need to step up and do more of the right thing. And if maybe that's the message, if there is a message from this comment, the message is time to stand up and do the right thing.
All right, so I want to go back to the maximum overdrive part of it. So I know Tor rewatched the movie or watched the movie. Have you recently watched the movie? So
it was a couple of days ago. A couple of days ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Tor, to me, one of the most interesting or funniest parts of the movie was at the beginning, when as the Little League baseball game has ended, and the one coach goes to get a soft drink from the vending machine, and the vending machine rebels. And the coach catches it in the midsection, so to speak, a bit lower, and in the head, and dies from this. From that, and you've seen the movie, when you look at the maximum overdrive perspective, given everyone said about this being a harbinger, as somebody who's in the most survivable place where it's snowing, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think about machines. If that object was the comet was to emit some fumes, some gases, and just affect the machines, and machines will turn on the people. And in that scene, having a machine just kill off the coach and some of the kids, and the other machines taking off, killing the other kids. I think it's. I don't feel it would be maybe not done in that way, but I think it's a nice twist on how things might turn out to be, and if I would, I don't know how exactly to approach this in that sense, to connect it. In that sense, if you have more leads or if I can address it.
So my
better.
question to you is, if this happens, we're going to assume it's not the happy thing that Barbara thinks it is.
Okay.
We're going to assume it's not the nice Star Trek ending, so to speak, except for when it was the Frank Gorshin episode, I think it was. Which was not a happy ending. But if we're going to assume there's no Star Trek happy ending here, what would you do to survive?
Stay in Norway for first.
Good answer.
Yeah. flee to the mountains, get away from machines, dig myself down. But if the machines were to take over and the scenario would just go through and try to kill off all the humans, so they will clean house, as the main character Emilio Estevez said, and make room for the aliens to come in. I'm not sure how I would survive if we think about how they are set up, how they are, if they are biological entities or if they're not. I don't know what that scenario would be and how it would play out. But I'm guessing for me, just get away from all the heavy populated places, take to the mountains and hunker down as best I can, and pray that I will survive as long as I can, and maybe find a way to survive the Holocaust in some sense, and connect with other people around, if that was even possible.
All right, a man with a vision. I would recommend having multiple Bic lighters with you and edge weapon, and you can buy a crossbow from Five Below It for less than $5 that I'll swear can be modified to shoot nails. Jim, you want to chime in on this? How are you going to survive? Because you literally have technology embedded in you.
I do. I'm more technology than I am human at this point. But I don't think the issue is going to be machines. Machines have normal limitations. Machines, as we envision them in any case, have a lot of limitations. I think the question is, so I can tell, as in all the machines in me have limitations, and I had another surgery on Tuesday, by the way. But it's a weird one. But anyway, I think that when we think about alien life forms, to the extent that there may be, and I posited in the beginning that there would be, that the issue would not be the machines they come up with, it would be themselves. And, and that's come up a couple times. They may not be necessarily, quote, bad. They might be here to help, not eat us.
Again, if I look at Murphy being an optimist, they're going to do something. So you say you said something there that machines have limitations, and I guess my question is how many people, at least in the U.S., can survive for a day without carrying their cell phone?
Okay.
Why? So, Barbara, I'm in Europe. I need to understand that related to USA. Why? I mean, would die crying without their cell phone? I just need to understand.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Elena,
you cannot survive without your.
There are videos of people that are like 13 to 30 years old that when their cell phone dies, they have like apocalyptic mental breakdowns and become unfunctional.
Oh my God.
And it's generational though, because there's, the older generation that used to operate without them knows how to get around. However, the younger generation that has only ever operated with a cell phone that has a GPS system on it has a very difficult time. So we used to go to the library to look up information. People don't do that anymore. So the people that only ever got on their phone and went, tell me about this or tell me about that. So, those are the people that are going to go, now what do I do?
From that aforementioned older generation and being a Boy Scout, I could survive for a long time still without a cell phone or without other machines or devices. But you do mention the source of information. I still am stunned by the fact that when I was doing the research for my dissertation, I would have to go to the library and only certain libraries, because they'd have to have obscure journals with rolls of dimes and copy everything.
Oh
Boy,
right?
What a different era that was, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you two old folk there. So when's the last time?
Which two? Me and who?
Barbara. I can call her
She's
old.
not old.
I can call her old for two reasons. One, she's 4 hours south of me, and I can move faster to get away from her than she can move. And two, she is actually a year older than me. So therefore, I'm logically safe and physically safe.
But you're still a lot younger than me, though, so it's okay.
I get it. So my question to you is, both of you is, so Jim, you've got a better answer because you spent a whole bunch of time under anesthesia without a cell phone.
I did.
But when's the last time you went 24 hours without picking up your cell phone?
24 hours, probably never in quite some time. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't. So that's a different kind of question.
Yes, right.
The answer, could I? Yes, for sure.
All right, so here's my theory, and before I give my theory, I'll ask Tor and Deanna and Lena, when's the last time they went 24 hours without picking up their phone?
For my sake, well, it's like Jim, it's been a long time, but I find myself telling my kids that you are the master of the phone. You are in control of the phone. You choose when you want to use the phone or not. And I keep telling myself when I have the phone in my hand, I said, stop carrying the phone all the time. Stop letting the phone be your master, because that's how it feels. So it's so integrated into you. You're using it all the time, and you are carrying it with you all the time. And as we do at schools, I see the kids just like zombies when they're walking around with the phones all the time. So I'm thinking the generation that is now the coming generation, the cotton kids, we call them. That's because they are so fragile in every sense, in the manner they are brought up now, as we see, and they are so dependent on the technology all the time. So I'm thinking about when we get old, and how will they take care of us if there should be, there are lightning storms, and the power is when you have a power out over a long period of time. How would they cope, and how would they take care of us in those types of situations if everything just went down? Are they prepared as we would be? Because we have lived in post and pre era of the phone and technology, so we can just rely on what we have learned before. But the kids today, they don't have that skill.
So what they would do, Tor, is come to us for help then.
Right? Yeah. That's a good point. Like, how would they get by? I don't think, my daughter is 33. I don't know that she could get to a hospital if she had to from here.
Yeah.
I don't think she could make it. I don't think she'd know how to get to a hospital if she didn't have her phone to get her there.
Well, it's hard to call 911 without a phone. Deanna, you want to jump in there?
It was about 2 months ago, and it was like Tor said, we had a 3-day power outage. I didn't want the darn thing to die just in case we had an emergency, and I didn't touch it for 2 days. But my children acted like it was the apocalypse. Jeremy and I we were having conversations, and we were trying to get them to play board games or read books, and all the 4-year-old could say was, when is the TV coming back?
Yeah.
I love that.
We just had the worst storm in 25 years. It was from Friday to Saturday. And that's not a joke. It's actually, it happened. So 110,000 people here in the south of Norway were out power So the trees were on the roads and everything was just chaos. So we, luckily, here in Fevik, we have the power, as you can see. So I was thinking about what am I going to do if the power just went out, so I have to go into the in-laws to do this radio program.
Okay.
But it's really absolutely reality that storms, and they are saying it on TV that storms, the weather is just getting more and more ferocious, and this is something we have to adjust to more and more frequent. So you are more and more vulnerable in the future to come, and that's, well, it's absolutely relatable to the children and how it would be with the adults, and they are going to take care of us in the future if the weather and the climate is worsening. I guess the same thing is for you too in the States.
So, Alina, your thought, when's the last time you went 24 hours without a phone, picking up a phone?
Yeah, so each summer I'm downshifting. I'm totally downshifting. So I'm close to the sea coast. I'm going close to the sea coast, hundreds of kilometers from here. And not watching any TV, not using my phone mainly for maybe 2 months out of 3 months.
Wow.
And and it's difficult because I'm supposed to be in a metaverse. I'm supposed to be on the blockchain, but I need to equilibrate that. So I need this kind of time for you, and it serves a lot to reconnect with myself, with nature, and with other people. So I'm doing this each year.
That's awesome.
I think that's great, actually.
You will probably be, along with Tor, one of the few that survive. So my theory says this, is that as the aliens come, they take over the telecommunication network systems, and they explode all the phones.
Well, what they do is they unleash an EMP, which would put us all out of business.
No, see, that leaves a whole lot of folks alive. My theory says first
I see.
they overheat everyone's phone, so they explode and kill off everyone who's holding their phone. And then...
But you're assuming they even see us as the dominant species on this planet.
No, I think
we're not the only intelligent species, just one of the few that's developed tools.
We're like, what was it the Agent Smith said? We're like a virus?
Yeah.
From the Matrix.
Science fiction has already given us stuff along these lines. This brings up one of my favorite scenes there's a sci-fi called Babylon 5. There's this woman who goes out and she surveys planets. So she's out surveying this planet, and this big, huge, massive thing appears and basically knocks out everything about her ship. And her ship is in the process of crash landing. And she gets rescued by one of the diplomats that's on the station. And when she gets back, she asks him, "What was that?" And he initially ignores the question, and he looks at one of the plants that are coming onto the station, and he reaches over with his hand and picks up an ant off the plant and lets the ant crawl around on his glove, and he puts it back, and he looks at her and goes, if that ant runs over to one of his friends and goes, "What was that?" how is the ant supposed to explain?
I remember the episode.
And for me, that is very telling, because if an alien civilization or an alien race shows up and they are that much more advanced than us, who says they're even going to see us as anything more than the cattle that are roaming the planet?
There's a great scene in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when the alien first lands on Earth and he tries to introduce himself to a car because he thinks they're the dominant species.
Nowadays, he probably could, because the cars have become computers, at least most of them have, that could answer him back.
God,
good movie choice, though, Deanna. Excellent.
And
I couldn't survive Saturdays without my phone.
For a second, if anyone has not seen the Outer Limits episode, Stream of Consciousness, you need to go back and watch it, because it is very much a window into what is going on with the kids of today, with the fact that they cannot disconnect from that phone. And then when the phone shuts down, they begin to have anxiety and panic attacks. It is a very, very poignant window into what we're looking at.
See, this is a Halloween episode. It's supposed to be scary. We look at science fiction as usually 2001: A Space Odyssey was probably one of the most upbeat movies, science fiction-wise, that I've seen. Even in the Star Wars universe, it goes downhill. Star Trek was a very positive, in theory, uplifting series, and yet we had interstellar wars. So science fiction is designed to be scary because it looks at the dark side of our technology. And when I look at this oddball, there's only been 3 interstellar, this is only the 3rd interstellar comet
that we've noticed.
And it comes from the quadrant in the sky where the wow signal came 37, 38, 39 years ago. The science fiction part of my brain says maybe that was really a signal to warn us about what was coming, to give us time to prepare.
We haven't been preparing this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's done any preparation for that yet, Fred.
So in the last 39 years, how far have we advanced?
Technologically, a lot.
Not really, Miss Barbara. We're still 100 to 200 years away from being a type 1 civilization, because type 1 dictates that we have control of all of the energy on our planet.
Well, we certainly don't have that, but in terms of technical advances, 40 years ago, nobody had a cell phone.
But is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good question. It depends on your perspective.
And we've talked about digital addiction in the past, and everyone on this call knows what it's like to be without a cell phone, because Alina takes 2 months of the year away from hers, and most of the rest of us have been in those situations where there is no cell phone.
There's a power outage, yeah.
Or we're old enough to remember before they came about.
Yep, that too.
My theory says is that when you get stuck in a snowstorm and got no cell phone to call for anybody to help dig you out, you learn critical thinking skills.
You say that, and like just a few years ago, we had a snowstorm. I know, in Alabama, we had snow. A snowstorm in Alabama where thousands of people were trapped in their cars on the interstate with nowhere to go and no hope of rescue. And yet, how many people walked home and made it?
There's, like I said, critical thinking skills. You figure out how to survive.
But there were also people that sat in their cars till the gas ran out and froze to death in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm. God. And that would be Darwinism at its best. Tor, you're our resident expert on snow.
Yeah, I got one. I got one for this. I think if the aliens are a type 3 civilization, would they have the capacity to do time travel in any form or shape?
I think that comes with type 4 or 5.
Yeah?
I think it comes with type 4 or 5, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Okay, so they don't have the development. But if they would have the ability to time travel, wouldn't it be best if they went back in time, let's say 50 years, and then if they are in some way warning us, they would have more time to warn us, so we can just slide better into the ocean and be more prepared where we are today.
Dear God, we get to go into time travel. Thank you. All right, so the resident, to me, the resident best story on time travel is H.G. Wells. where the dude ended up going way into the future and way into the past, and ultimately didn't affect anything because you can't go back and kill your own grandfather. That's always the paradox.
Wells also operates under the idea that time is what it is, that regardless of what you do, you can't actually change anything. Because if you remember in that story, the whole point is he's trying to save his wife. And so he goes and he saves her. And then the first time, 20 minutes later, she gets hit and killed by something else. And so it's just this whole thing. And I don't know that I necessarily disagree with it, but at the same time, I can't completely agree with it because I don't know. I don't think that time in that way, it's almost like you're giving time a personality, an idea that it has it makes its own decisions on things. And I don't think that's exactly how time functions. For me, time, I believe, it is a facet of nature. It's just something that proceeds forth and doesn't necessarily try to set things right, but it's just, if we have the ability to go back and change something, that everything would then at that point be rewritten and would basically create the secondary dimension. But then you begin to get into multidimensional theory, and that's not exactly the topic we're talking about.
Anybody want to jump in on that? Because, as Joys of a Misspent Youth, Larry Niven has a great set of short stories on time travel. Ray Bradbury had one where they used to go back into prehistoric times and would kill a dinosaur that was about to die. There's the whole where, to me, the paradox is I go back in time, I find my grandfather, I kill him. What happens to me?
You evaporate.
I'm just remembering an Outer Limits episode, I am my own grandpa.
And that would become, and that is one theory of, if you evaporate, then you don't kill him.
But in the story I'm talking about, he kills his grandfather and then inadvertently sleeps with his grandmother, not realizing that's who he is, thereby solidifying his own creation.
Exactly. So then the question is by doing that, does he then come back and kill himself? Because literally it's this loop. So there's the one theory of school of thought that I got to use the word, that says you become that same incident you're trying to stop. The other theory says is that it's not really, it's still happening in your universe. It's just, your grandfather still has your father who has you. You're killing your grandfather in an alternative universe. And we've seen that in what two TV series? Ooh.
That's too broad a question, Fred.
There were two TV series that had alternative universes.
It was something with the group jumping in the 90s.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Very good. Sliders is one of them.
Sliders, yeah.
What was the other one?
The only thing that comes to mind is Doctor Who, but...
Doctor
More
Who
recent.
Doctor Who would time jumping, all right, so I'm amazed that Jeremy didn't pick up the Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise connection to it.
I was trying to give other people a chance to answer.
And what's the other series? Quantum Leap.
Same actor, too.
That's what I mean, as the actor that was the captain in Star Trek Enterprise was the professor who kept leaping from universe to universe to universe, setting things right.
That once went wrong.
Right, but the premise of that show is that there is a for lack of a better way to put it, good divine force that is directing his journey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's that posits multiple universes happening. Because in the one episode where he went back to try to save Kennedy and fails, the comment is, well, at least you saved Jackie this time around.
Okay.
And if we look at, if you want to go hyper technical about it, if you look at a Schrodinger wave equation,
Yes.
at any given moment, there's a whole wave of potentials for the particle to do things. Which would mean in a quantum foam thing, there could be a whole bunch of, I wouldn't say infinite universes around me, but there could be a wide range of Freds going through this moment any given time.
God forbid more than one Fred, but that's...
So there is that potential of, is that time travel if you're flipping to an alternative universe? Because I seem to remember Google coming out with a new CPU. I thought it was either earlier this year or last year. I want to say it was Willow, but I don't remember what it was. But they were saying that it could solve calculations in 10 minutes that would take all the supercomputers in the world 420 decillion years to calculate.
You are talking about quantum computing.
Uh-huh. And quantum...
Which is...
Go ahead.
Which is, makes my head hurt. Because the basic architecture of computers today, in your watch, in your cell phone, in your laptop, is identical to the computers I was designing more than 50 years ago. They're all binary. They all have more or less the same instruction set. They just got very, very small. Now, quantum computing is still partly binary, but has an undefined third state that hurts my head to think about. So I have to, I'm coming to grips with that. We're trying to actually offer a course on quantum computing. I don't know how that's going to work, but a lot of investment in Greater Chicago in quantum computing, though.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, it's that third state, right? It's no longer yes or no.
Right.
It's yes, no, and maybe.
There's no and something else. I have yet to figure it out, but that's okay. But quantum computing has tremendous possibilities. I don't think we'll be realizing them real soon. And Fred's not here, so I will say cell phones are useful for keeping track of football scores on Saturday afternoon when we do this. This won't make sense to you, Tor, but...
Jim, if you start talking about football, he's going to get upset.
That's what I mean. He's not here, so that's why I did it then.
He stepped away, so we're all good.
So my team that I played for in college is leading 35-0 in the third quarter.
Oh my goodness.
And they won last week 55-0, so.
Oh my gosh. And that's Ohio State, right?
No, I did not play for Ohio State.
Oh, okay. You just like Ohio State football.
It's 4 generations in my family, starting with my grandfather down through all of our kids.
Oh,
but
wow.
This won't make sense to Tor. But I wanted to play football in college, and I was not going to be good enough to play for Ohio State, so...
Jim, I got to ask you, because I know you're in the academic world. You were talking about quantum computers a second ago.
Yes.
Where do you stand on the, I guess, trusting the answers and the formulas that it provides us, considering that they are so far beyond human understanding that it would literally take thousands upon thousands of humans, lifetime after lifetime, to quantify the same information?
Well, I'm not sure that it's actually dramatically different than high-powered computers today, because we don't really have a way of, in any deterministic way, figuring out whether they are correct or not, because basically they're running based on human software and all that. The same thing would be true of quantum computers. I don't think they're to the point yet. They may be, but they're to the point where they are behaving as though they are artificial intelligence in the Alan Turing sense. But yeah, it's a really good question though, Deanna, because they can do things so much faster. But I think it's still driven by, the example that was used when they were brought up was, solving the same problem in 5 hours that would normally take months. But it's still more or less the same process at this point. It's not dramatically different in terms of human software driving them, which, as we all know, anyone that's been involved with software ever knows it is very open to error.
To err is human, to forgive divine, but it takes a computer to really frack things up. Something a general mantra I've had ever since I started writing computer code, way, way, way back.
Not that far back, Fred, but
not as old as you, dude. Now, no one's as old as you on this call. Although I may have a computer back from when you...
if you did, you wouldn't be able to sit in the same room, but that's okay.
True that. Quantum computing is a whole episode on itself.
It is, for sure.
And it's its own episode on its own, as is AI in healthcare. Zombie apocalypse is the future. Hopefully coming soon to an episode.
Let me weld that can's lid back on and put it back on the shelf.
I know.
Yeah. So I want to go back to what is your two things. A, what is your advice to somebody if the aliens go bad and they're here to, let's say, hunt us and eat us, or they just don't care, they want to move us out and relegate us to the used car lots of our own now? So what are you going to recommend to people to survive? And two, on the 30th first which is when I expect things to really go down the toilet, if it's going to, when the Herald will be here, we'll know about the Herald at that point. What is your message to the Herald going to be? Barbara, you first. What's your message to the Herald going to be on the 31st? And then, if it goes wrong, what are you recommending people take with them to survive?
So we have some time before this occurs, right? So again, I'll go back to
October 31st.
Do good, do the right thing, be a good person. Okay. So that said, maybe that's what the message is. If there's a message coming, maybe it's like, hey, do good, because this could be it. And how do you want to leave this life? Do you want to leave it as somebody who took advantage of other people, or do you want to be able to say, hey, I did the right thing? So that's that. But in terms of what would you do if you're saying there's an alien species that's coming to the planet and they want to destroy us, you might as well surrender and let it go and get over yourself, because if they're that far superior, you don't stand a chance anyway.
So that would be the normal thing. But remember, it's not like they just popped up here. There could be multiple waves of these craft bringing further and further waves of this civilization here. but there is a finite number of them, and I have to believe, according to what ChatGPT said, you couldn't have more than about 100,000 people.
You did not just say that.
You did.
I did. I actually asked Chat to go and figure out how many in a 3i Atlas sized arc that could there be, and it came back with one of the numbers was 100,000.
Okay, so let's say that those 100,000 could not just bilocate, but they could just like be anywhere they wanted to be at any moment in time.
They can't, because this is a probe coming in at sublight speeds, which makes them not a type 3 or even a type 2, makes them a type 1 civilization, because they have interstellar travel, but it's multi-generational because they're sublight. So they can't be everywhere at once. And you only got to deal with the first.
This, Fred. I walk up to the guy and I hand him a book. And I say, have you met our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?
Ooh.
Good one.
All right, Jeremy. What are you going to do to survive then? Keep her from being eaten.
The only thing I can really think of, I open the Bible and start reading to them.
Okay. I'm down.
I mean, we can at least keep them wrapped up in conversation for a couple months.
Fair enough.
Because at the end of the day, like I was telling Deanna, I wouldn't exactly have much of a message for the Herald, because if they're here with bad intentions, like Barbara said, there's not really much we can do about it. So my suggestion to the whole of humanity is give your heart to Jesus, because your butt belongs to the aliens.
Fair enough. Barbara,
which, all things considered, is not dramatically different than life today.
All right, Jim. Same two questions to you. What's your message? Are you going to recommend people take certain items, anything like that? So the message, if it's good, or what you're going to do if it's evil or bad?
Aliens, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, what I said was, if they're good, then we can communicate, take advantage. If they're bad, we probably don't have much choice. So, as was just discussed.
Fair enough. Tori, you want to jump in? I'm going to give Barb the last word on this one.
If they were good, we need to find out how to, if it's even possible, to how to communicate with them, and how to interact with them, so we can learn and take from as much knowledge as possible, and perhaps they will take some knowledge from us as well, so we can work together for a common shared goal, I guess, for bettering even them, so they can become to type 2 and type 3, and we can just take advance in that regard. And if they were bad, help us God, I don't know.
If they're bad, we walk up to them and cough on them, because this place is a cesspool.
Oh, going back to the H.
Well, if they were good, toward your comment, they would probably figure out how to communicate with us faster than we would with them. But
Alina, you want to jump in?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I don't
see you.
Really, it's very rarely that I believe in polarization, so I would stand to my beliefs that they're neither good or bad. So I might need to elicit what they want, because it's something that they want. And see how I can provide. Do you know Jerome K. Jerome, Three Men in a Boat? The boat.
Bring it.
It's a novel. Yeah. So it's about adaptation, mimetism, matching, understanding, observing. This is what I would do, because I don't really believe in clear polarizations, especially when it comes to beings, besides flowers and plants and so on, trees. When it comes to sentient beings, that's a different thing. And that's all.
So interesting. You use the phrase sentient beings. Barbara, bring it.
Okay, I don't know. I want you to reiterate the question so that I make sure that I answer it specifically.
All right. So the assumption is, for the first question, is you're going to assume they're good aliens. We're going to assume, we're not going to assume the
apocalypse,
the Fred's Murphy perspective.
Okay.
What are you going to say to them to start? What are you going to do? Are you going to communicate with them to start? You're going to be like me and go, yeah, no, I'm going to stand off to the side and wait to see what happens, you know.
Well, if we're going into the hypothesis that they are good-natured and that they want only good things, then I believe that they would be here to learn about us, about our species, and what we are about. And then I think there'd be a lot that we could also learn from them, like Torsa, you know, technology and otherwise. But I think, you know, if a intelligent species came here, that they would be so far more evolved than we are that they wouldn't be here to harm or to take or to remove things from us, because they probably already have everything that they already need and could probably manifest it instantly, because they're most likely coming from a higher dimension than we're in, where things aren't so solid as they are here. And then also, I think that their communication style would be telepathic, not language. We would just know what each other were thinking.
All right. So I'm going to use the movie Independence Day.
I was just thinking of Independence Day, speaking of telepathic, but go ahead.
So in Independence Day, you would be one of those people that would be up on top of the skyscraper in LA going, "Welcome, aliens! We're happy to hear you." You remember that scene?
I do.
Do you, Barbara?
I don't remember Independence Day all that well, but I think that we made the assumption that they're friendlies. Not
right, I get that. So under the assumption that they're friendlies, as many people made at the beginning of Independence Day,
yes.
There was the one scene where there's all these folks partying on top of an LA skyscraper, and they're holding up signs saying, "Welcome, aliens, happy you're here," things like that. And Jim, what happened to those folks?
The skyscraper is vaporized. along with most of LA. So
all right,
well,
now
it's not vaporized. Okay,
so
I believe our souls are infinite and they continue on. So
yes,
if you vaporize the body, but the soul and the spirit is not going to go anywhere. Okay, go ahead, Fred.
All right, so you would be one of those people up there. Now I come at it from the point of never trust anything. So I'm going to want to be one of those people like in Maximum Overdrive that's like way as far away from cities as possible, because bad things are going to happen. They're happening now, but you know. And so from that point of view, what would be your counsel, advice, direction, supply list, things like that you would recommend people have to survive?
A supply list. Oh, well, certainly. If you know what, I don't know. From my perspective, I'm thinking if there is a alien, force or an alien invasion, it's like they are going to be so far more advanced than us. Then why would you try and survive? Why don't you just go, okay, we're done. And at some point, guess what? Nobody gets out of here alive. Right? I mean, we're all going to die. Whether it comes from an alien invasion or whatever, we're not infinite. We are limited here in our physical body, but our souls and our spirit, I believe, are infinite.
So if they were like teleporting in or they were hyperspacing in, That would be one thing. The fact that they had to travel hundreds of thousands of years at sublight speed, there's a finite number of them. And so the answer to the question of why would you try to survive?
Yeah. I think you're making an assumption that they had to travel thousands of light years. I think that's
they do. That's given by the path of the craft.
The what?
By the path of 3I Atlas. They literally have traveled to get the distance that they have, potentially millions of years.
Right, I got you.
So there's a finite number. So my answer to you is, why would you fight to survive? One word.
Your grandkids. But you know what? I just see it as mass distinction extinction. Sorry, mass extinction at that point where, it's.
If you want to go to, Armageddon, why survive? Survive long enough to get the grandkids up to New Jerusalem and then die under a horde of demons. Again, grandkids, heaven, hell, alien apocalypse, zombie apocalypse, AI overlords. I will fight to the death to protect them.
Yeah, I understand that, and I get that. It's just, to me, it would seem almost futile. So, because they would be so far advanced. If they really wanted to come here and annihilate us, that I think we're done.
I don't think they, again, if they've been traveling for millions of years, we're one of those things where those first two probes went, they said, civilization, this might be a good place to go check out and dump some people off of. All right. So we've been going at this for 90 minutes now. Barbara, you want to find out from all of our guests what they're up to and what people can expect next from them?
That sounds good. Let's start with Alina. What are you up to, and what's happening with you in the world? So, over the next 30 days or so, because apparently, we're
Halloween. Everything
professionally or personally.
Your choice.
Yeah.
Was that both?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, Fred said your choice. Yeah.
I'm going through some mysterious paths since July this year. Something activated in my body, in my brain, and I can't function that well as I used to as a horse. And the doctors haven't discovered anything yet. And I'm on a bunch of supplements and minerals and so on. On the other side, my spiritual friends and guides, my hospes comesque, my guests in my life, and my companions, they're saying I should just relax because the human resonance of the earth, and we're all going through something, and my brain is tired, and I'm downloading and uploading information on the speed of light, and I don't know what's happening. So on the next 3 days, I have decided to not go to the to more brain investigations and whatever. I'll just sit and see what's happening. Yeah, if we're gonna have the herald of, if it's gonna be a collective experience or an individual one, I don't know. On the other side, professionally, I have received a bunch of proposals in the film industry and related to blockchain and stuff, and I don't want to cope with anything. I'm just making my stash of fruits and nuts and coconuts and all kinds of things, and I'm just trying to relax and see whatever. I'll just take it each day, on how it comes. So I'm trying to be relaxed, and being here today, it really felt nice. It feels like I don't need the sense of belonging, but I sense that I belong here, and I'm within some friends group, and it feels nice.
So I love what you inadvertently just said there is you're collecting fruits and nuts and stuff, which is a perfect survival strategy. should 3i Atlas go south and become maximum overdrive, because fruits and nuts and things like that are what you need to survive, and
yeah, I
don't
might
need
be
electricity.
receiving some information during my sleep. I don't know.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's really, really good. So, speaking of survival supplies, that we definitely do have survival supplies here too. So there's that. I'm not the protector of the family. That would be my husband. So he's got the supplies to help us survive for a good 3 months. If electricity goes out, we got a generator, all that stuff.
We should have had him on. He's the paranoid one.
Yeah.
Who you picking next, ma'am?
Okay, Tor.
Night shift.
Stephen
Okay.
King.
So
Nice.
This.
Tor's reading Stephen King's Night Shift. Awesome.
Yeah.
What else?
That and what else? During the month of October, I always have this tradition of watching all the watching Michael Myers Halloween movies, the series. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I'm building myself up to the 31st of October, and we just decorating the house and everything, and just making a theme of it. So we have done this for 11, 12 years now. So this is my usually tradition, and I'm looking forward to watching the movies. I have a great time, and getting ready the house for the kids and for the family. That's the next 30 days for me. So that's I'm looking forward to that.
So,
I love that.
You're way ahead of us, Tor.
Yep.
Did Tor mention his book earlier?
What book?
That's a no.
Tor, tell Deanna and Barbara about your book.
Yeah.
You have a book, don't you?
Yeah, I've written 3 books, but the book we talked about last time was The Martian Inside Me. Was a collaboration with Scott Jacobson, and it's a series of interviews, and we talk about all kinds of topics: history, religion, intelligence, technology, everything. It's all over the board, and it includes many more people from the community, from a high intelligence community. That's also included there. So they have individuals interviews and there are group interviews. So it's now been collected into a book, which is now to be found in Apple Books and Amazon.
Excellent.
That was latest.
I'm there.
Excellent. Deanna, we'll make Jim go last since he's already part cyborg.
So at your request, not at your request, last week I ran a class on how to start your podcast from scratch. And at your request, I am turning that into a free monthly class. I'll be setting the date this weekend. And so all that fun information will be out before much longer. And I'm also developing a 201 version of that it's going to be paid for. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see how that goes over the last 3 months of the year.
Excellent. Jim, what's upcoming with you?
Well, I hope I'm continuing to recover. I'm planning to go to campus next week.
Wow.
For at least one day. And then I'm traveling to Ohio, where my football team from many years ago is being having a reunion or being recognized at halftime.
I love that.
Homecoming.
That's so cool.
That will be such fun. That will be great fun.
It will. So wonderful. All right.
And Barbara, what's upcoming with you? You have, besides this wonderful live stream podcast that you, for some reason unknown to only a higher power, you show up for each time. What's upcoming on the Power of Now, as well as in Wainwright Publishing?
Guess what? I actually have finished writing my book. I need to format it for publishing, but I finished writing the 6 stages of spiritual awakening. So that's my project now is I got to put a cover on it and all that kind of thing so I can publish it, format it, and make it look pretty, and then I'm ready to publish that. And with the power of now, we are 3 months away from finishing the book and doing our book study on that. So our next project, we decided we do the book study on the 6 stages of spiritual awakening.
Okay, so we don't have to ask that question. So then the question becomes: is what are the 6 stages? Don't give us the whole book. Just give us the 6 stages for dummies.
6 stages for dummies. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it does take a minute. The first stage is really becoming awakened, becoming aware, starting to realize, that there's more to life than the degrees on the wall and the white picket fence and the kids, and that there's something more happening. So that's awakening to consciousness. Okay. Then once you have that awakening, you start searching, like, well, what is there? What am I missing? So there's the next thing. What is it? And then stage 3 is, okay, so my thoughts create my reality. Let me test that. So it's the testing phase, testing the truths, spiritual truths. And then once you've kind of got that down, you're starting to recognize, yeah, okay, I can manifest. I can make things happen. I can manifest things by changing my thought and focusing on things and creating them. So practicing the principles of spirituality, which are things like honesty, integrity, trusting, and making commitments and being consistent and those kinds of things. And then you start the next phase after you've awakened and you've tested things and you've been practicing and you're operating with integrity and honesty and commitment. The next thing is surrendering your will to your higher power, whether that's God or the universe or whatever you see as the entity that you've now connected with, because you've turned your will and your life over to the care of that higher power. And then the 6th stage is...
Wait, I thought that was the 6th stage. Or that
was the fifth stage. The 6th stage is sharing your awakening with others and helping them to awaken.
So what I'm hearing is grandkids, heart attack, grandkids, heart attack, grandkids start K PHred.
Exactly. Sharing your wisdom. There you go.
Not bad. Ooh, I'm at number 6. Ooh.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Any final wisdom for our listeners?
Oh my goodness. If I was going to share anything, it would be this, that we are all going to die. We're not going to get out of this human thing alive. We are going to die. So that said, every moment is special. Every minute that you have is meaningful. So make the best of every moment. That would be it.
I like it.
Thanks.
I don't know. When you talk about dying like that, all I can think of is a different movie, and it's got Bruce Willis in it, and it's Die Hard. So
I love that movie. Oh my gosh, that's a great movie.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yes.
And on that note, I will tell you, folks, on the 31st, stay away from technology. Have a couple of lighters with you. Maybe a half-gallon bottle of water that you can refill. 30 days of meds if you got meds. Flint and steel is good. And if you're any place where it can get cold, have a hoodie with multiple pockets and a coat. Gloves. Mittens are bad because they restrict your fingers, and you want to have gloves. Tor could probably talk about, do you prefer mittens or gloves when dealing with snow?
Gloves.
See, there you have an expert.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert on snow.
That's true.
You need a moment.
You mean that demonic white stuff that falls from the sky and makes people not be able to drive?
Well, in
Yep, that
California,
stuff.
sometimes that's rain.
That's true. In California, it's rain.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fog.
Oh gosh.
Or
That's
wildfires will do it too.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, folks. I want to thank you, everyone, for coming to discuss our Halloween episode, 3i Atlas plus Maximum Overdrive. Will we see a Halloween alien invasion? I'm hoping not, because I intend to be out trick-or-treating, and the only real invasion I want is too much candy into my stomach playing with the grandkids. So... we'll see you at the beginning of November with a topic to be determined, but I'm probably going to let Barbara pick it. And this, I will say, this episode is probably one of the weirdest we've done since the Barbara-inspired question of how would your life be different if you were born female?
Right.
Happy Halloween, folks. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Bye bye.